Yeah, that is quite sad. So now let us look at the federal government's response to these kidnapped students. They were kidnapped last week, Thursday, yes, and then today is 17th of March, and then still they've not been returned. One would wonder how the parents, the guardians of these young ones, how they feel about this. It's just so sad. So now, why would you rate the federal government's response to this issue of innocent kidnapped in northern Nigeria? But let us even talk about this case first.
Particular case.
Yes, this particular case. So we have over 200 students that were kidnapped.
I think if we must say it the way it is that we do not have a response. We don't have a solution to this kidnap you see, because what these bandits are doing is to go after what we call soft targets. Okay, schools, school children, and so, because the truth of the matter is that I want people to understand is that we do not have enough men in our armed forces and law enforcement to police all the schools, primary, secondary, tertiary, that we have in the country. Even if we have that resource, is not to say, because if you remember that in the Chibok girls, they were soldiers stationed, and they got a call to ask them to move to another location, that there's an attack somewhere, and when they moved out from Chibok was when the attackers came and took away those. So now there's what we call field columnist. Okay, that's okay, enemy within. So all of that is playing out, but the important thing is that we must know is that there's no solution yet. We do not have a solution yet to this kidnap of school children, because even when in the last administration, even in Katsina, where the President Buhari came from, a lot of students were kidnapped in Katsina State when the president was there, to the point that even when the president wants to go to Daura, he was threatened that they will do this, they will do that, and you know. So we do not have, the federal government does not have a solution yet to this issue, and that is what is happening, because these children have been moved away on the 7th. We are talking about the 17th, and okay, they said they've located the place. Remember that not all the Chibok girls have returned. Out of that say, I mean, what's the yes? So up to today. So what is different in this? So we just have to come to reality that unless they negotiate, and the federal government say we are not going to negotiate, but that's where government will always talk. So underground they will now look for, because it does not look for government to say we are negotiating with bandits, but because of the parents, the traumatic experience that the parents are going through, they will still be underground work to get the children out of the hand of the kidnappers. But the government will not come out to say we are paying ransom, because that will encourage a lot of bandits to now go after other schools. So because these schools don't have perimeter fencing, how many schools, primary, secondary, even in our state, in Ondo, where I come from, they don't have perimeter fence, the school that I attended. So it's we all students that are trying to do that now, because government does not have the resource to fence all the primary school, employ vigilante groups in all the schools and secondary schools. So it can happen anywhere. So that what is reality is that the government does not have a solution to this, unless the communities can come out to form vigilante group to protect their schools, because there's no way you don't have enough men in the armed forces, you don't have enough men in the police service. So how do you protect the schools?
And if we are to look at that, because you mentioned the issue of vigilantes, the communities forming vigilantes to guard the school, we also have laws that forbids anyone that is not, appointed by the government to bear arms. So if we have these people trying to guard the school, and then there are reports that these bandits even have more sophisticated weapons than the Nigerian military. So how are they supposed to really guard their schools, guard their environment in the truest sense, when they are already, that is like bringing horses to a battle fought with machinery? How are they
No. The vigilante is not that they will be able to confront them, but they will be able to delay the attack until they get a response. Because now they just walk into the school, carry the children, but there's what we call in security 3D. You deter, you delay, you deny. If you can put up some at least delay tactics while you are trying to get a counter force somewhere. But it's not just going to be easy for them to just be like a walk in the park, just come into the school and carry the children, and there's no encounter, there's no delay, there's nothing. So, but the vigilante is there to at least before they are able to carry the children, they will offer some delay while they are trying to, maybe they will make a phone call, maybe they will get a message to the next duty post where there are soldiers, where they are, just to be able to say at least, so that it will not look as if they just come and carry 200, how many of them, and they just disappear into the forest without any counterfall, without any, so that's what we are saying. So the vigilante will be able to at least offer some little resistance, and they will know that, okay, some people are watching us, they know the path where we took, and they can give information to say this is where they went, this is how you look for them. That will also at least help, instead of them just have that freedom to come in and disappear, and 10 days they are still looking for them.
Yeah, that is definitely sad. And now let us look at the latest development that we have. The bandits requested for 1 billion naira. You see, I think
they started with 40 trillion.
Yeah, but now they brought it to 1 billion. I think a lot of people don't realize the magnitude of 1 billion naira. We have 1 million, we have 10 million, we have 100 million. When we have 200, 300, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 1,000 million naira. That is 1 billion.
Yes.
That is a whole lot of money that these bandits are asking for. And then since the day they asked, they gave the federal government or whoever is willing to pay 20 days to come up with the money. And then if we listen to one of the reports, one of the people who has one of his children kidnapped, he said that even if they asked them to pay ransom, they don't have money to pay for the ransom. And these are parents who are having sleepless nights. Because one could imagine the trauma that they are going
through right now.
Yes,
right
they don't even know the well-being of their children. They don't know if they are being
Yes.
fed. They don't know if they are being molested.
Yes.
And these kidnappers say they're demanding for 1 billion.
How do they even want to be paid with that 1 billion? Are they going to be paid in cash? Do they want cash payment? Do they want an account to be paid the money to? Do they want to collect it in other currency? So you just wonder that. So what's wrong with them? What is going on in their mind? How do they want this money paid? Do they want the 1 billion naira in cash? So it's just to tell you that these people are debased and they are not the normal human being that we know about. So, but the government will know how to handle it. I know there are experts in government and they can, borrow from other clients where all of this can be done, because some of these children age as young as 8-year-old. Imagine you have an 8-year-old boy with these bandits for 10 days as a parent. You will not be able to sleep, obviously. So your mind will just be there. I mean, I can imagine the mothers, even if the fathers can manage. So what will be going on? They don't know what's happening to their children. And we are counting 10 days now. So government will actually have to do something. Maybe in a midway, maybe as they are saying, we are not going to negotiate, we are not going to pay ransom, but they will look for ways to negotiate. Because, yes, to negotiate, because of the children, the ages of the children, what their parents are going through, and all of that.
Okay, we also have Sheikh Gumi, who came up to volunteer himself to negotiate with these criminals. Although there has always been this controversy when it comes to this man that is always eager to lend the services to the federal government when it comes to negotiating with bandits. Some people have even gone so far to say that he is a terrorist, and perhaps they should detain him, they should question it, that he would know the whereabouts of all these victims of banditry, the ones I helped negotiate. So do you think that when it comes to negotiators of these bandits, because especially if it is someone that is just coming up to volunteer themselves, how well should the federal government receive them? Since the federal government is even saying that they are not going to pay a ransom to any bandits, they are not going to be negotiating with these terrorists.
Yes, I think he has put himself forward, as this is not the first time he was doing it. I remember that his aide was arrested at a point, even on the way to outside the country, and some money was straight to his account. So all of that is, but I think he is known as an Islamic scholar of repute, and he has gone. The records show that he went to Niger, even went to the bandits to go, and his whole opinion has been: look, in this there's what we call kinetic and non-kinetic approach. Kinetic approach is, okay, let's deploy the military, let's go and look for them, let's forcefully take the children away. Another non-kinetic approach is, let's look for another approach by dialogue. Let's look at what is going on. Why are they doing this? when do we suddenly come to this? Okay, what is their problem? What's their grievance? So I think that is his own idea of non-kinetic approach to this. He has been able to dialogue. What is your problem? What do you need? And okay, they are saying, okay, they don't have this, they don't have that. They are being killed, their cattle are being roasted, and it's just a way of showing their own grievances too. So I think in this situation, you need both the kinetic and not the kinetic approach, because the objective is to get these children out of the hand of the kidnappers. So whatever you have to do as a government, you just have to do it. So you must apply the two approaches, because once you know that the kinetic approach will not work, because if you go forcefully to go after these bandits and they use these children as human shield, they will be casualty, and you don't want to have that. So you want to go the other way, which is not kinetic, by talking to whoever can talk to them, whoever they are going to listen to. Maybe they have people they listen to, maybe they have people they confide in to say, this is what we want. We have grievances about cattle is being roasted, we are being killed, and all of that. And okay, what do you want? So I think that is his own approach, and you cannot discount that in this situation.
Okay, but now let us talk about the federal government's means of gathering intelligence. Because even if no one will come out to say that they've been paying bandits over time to get people who have been adopted to get them released, even if no one is coming out to say that, these bandits, one could imagine that they would be able to network themselves, and then they know within themselves that they've been paid this particular amount of money for the operation they carried out, which one would guess that would not discourage them from doing it another time. In fact, it would further encourage them. It's quick money, it's very lucrative. You just go somewhere, kidnap some vulnerable people, and then before you know it, you have cash in your bank account. But now let us look at it this way. If money is paid into bank accounts, even if it is given to them in cash, should the federal government not find a way to try to trace the movement of this money, and perhaps through this method they would be able to lay hands and capture these people that are behind these acts? Well,
it may be a tall order to do that, because as I'm sitting down here, a friend of mine was kidnapped at the time, just traveling from I have to pay because the wife will not allow me to rest, and it's just a friend, and we thought it's a joke. And a day, 1 week, and and the wife will keep crying, call you early in the morning. I didn't know when I have to contribute. And when the ransom was paid, it was released. And when it was released, my goodness, So this thing is real. At individual, people are paying ransom. It's just that this one now is because maybe of the number of people that have been kidnapped and the media focus is on it. People are being kidnapped on traveling from Lagos to Benin, traveling from Lagos to whatever, even Lagos-Ibadan expressway. People have been taken to the bushes, and the family will gather and pay ransom and get them released. The PDP chairman, Lagos State PDP chairman, coming from meeting from Ibadan to Lagos, was kidnapped, and he was released, but they will not tell you what happened. Okay, so these things is happening. It's just that the media attention that we have on this one, because of the number of people that are involved. So we have this problem on our hands. So whether they trace the money or not, I don't know how they trace that. But the thing is important now is that how do we get these children out of the hand of these kidnappers? And how do we deal with insecurity that has become part of us in this part of the country or in this part of Africa? Because it's not just in Nigeria alone, in Mali, in all these, so there's the problem that we have. So these people that are doing this, you will be surprised that they are not even from Nigeria. Okay? So they do not have all these things that we are talking about does not concern them. And these people that are doing the kidnapping, they are ready to die. Okay, so because for you to kidnap and to know that the military will come with you, the Air Force will come with you, they know that they can lose their own life too. So that is why it is very technical, that it has to be dealt with a lot of caution.
A colleague of mine was just saying that one person said that if insecurity persists in a country for longer than, was it 24 hours, that means the government too must be in on it. So we've been dealing with insecurity, this mass kidnapping in Nigeria for a very long time now. So is it wrong or is it right to find that perhaps some government agencies too might be on this, especially when it comes to the military too? Because like the one you mentioned, the scenario that we had play out during the kidnap of the Chibok girls. So if we are having issues like this going on, then when could Nigeria really put our feet down and say that we are really fighting corruption, we're really fighting insecurity?
Well, like I know from all my own experience is that everywhere you have economic hardship, you will have insecurity. Okay, so when a lot of people are in poverty, majority of the people are in poverty, and the select few are in wallowing and living in the luxury that cannot be defined, you will have insecurity. So, and the leaders have to now come together, to see how do we negotiate that. Unfortunately, those people who are involved are the poor and the vulnerable people. But anywhere, any environment where you have this kind of economic hardship, you will see a spike in insecurity. So, and this might be with us for some time, unfortunately, but it is the leaders in government and the political elite that will have to come together to see how do we come out of this, because we know this country used to be a safe country where you can go anywhere in the night, anytime, you go anywhere. I'm sure, I mean, you can't just put your car on the road and say, I'm going to Ibadan when it's late. Everybody, family member will tell you, no, don't go, please, don't go. So, and there was a time, even if you have a breakdown of your vehicle in the dead of the night, if you see anybody coming, that person is coming to help you, not to harm you. But all of that has changed, even in the daytime now. Okay? So, there's a problem. And I think it takes leaders to come together and say, how do we get out of this problem? And how do we get out of this problem is to make sure we have our economy, so that everyone who has something to do and they can meet their needs. And so a lot of people will not have to take, because we have a lot of people that are going into insecurity, into this venture, and it's making the job very difficult for the law enforcement and the defense forces of our nation. And I don't think any government we want to go into, all of that to harm its own people. Because government, the first duty of government is to protect life and property. That is what government exists for. So why will the same government now be the one sponsoring insecurity?
But would you buy into this opinion that says that perhaps the reason that spike in insecurity is to probably sabotage the administration of the present president of Nigeria?
But that can't be substantiated. It started during Jonathan regime. Actually started with Obasanjo. The Boko Haram started, if you remember, and it continued with that was what they said about Jonathan. It was because they don't want Jonathan. That was why the Chibok girl were kidnapped, and it's just to make sure it doesn't win. But it continued and became even more pronounced during Buhari regime, to the point that even Daura, even Katsina, where the president came from, was not safe. A lot of school children were kidnapped in Daura, in Katsina State. So now it has continued. How does that fly in the face of logic? There's no substance to that. So this insecurity is there. Some people have taken to this venture as a means of making money. What I think is partly responsible is that our political elites, the way they live their life, does not make sense to many people, especially those people are in the armed forces, because they're just living in this luxury. That what do they do? Because they are elected to make laws, and you must drive the most expensive cars. You must live a life of luxury to the detriment of the average, hardworking Nigerians. It doesn't make sense. So they should cut down on their own luxurious life and see how that affects, the generality of Nigeria. I think that, but I know that it may not be something that everybody wants to think about. But I've been in the military myself, and I know that my colleagues who are retired after serving for 35 years, what do they give them as pension, as gratuities? That when they have done 30 and they are in their 60, in their late 50s, and you ask them to go and you are giving them 20 million, and somebody that is elected, you are buying him a car of 160 million. So, and these are the people you want them to go and fight bandits. So I hope they can know that this thing does not add up. It does not add up. So if they can cut down on their own laws, as if they are there to just live at our own expense, whether we have infrastructure, whether we have power, whether we have good roads, it's not of their business, their allowance, their whatever they think about first. So all of that is adding to the insecurity that we have in Nigeria. They must understand that.
Okay, now let us talk about, during this, the clamor for this was intensified during the regime of, or during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. That is the introduction of state policing. Although the president turned it down then, but we had some state governors that took it upon themselves to start regional policing. We have the one of Amotekun, we have Ibubiagu for the, and also the one for the northern Nigeria, for Nigeria too. Now the call for state police once again is being clamored. So how far do you think state policing would help us? Because even if we are to look at state police, if they are going to be guarding each local government area, we might still have some villages that might still be vulnerable. But let's have your view on it.
No, state police is the way to go. Okay, we know that there was a spike in this insecurity in our state. I come from Ondo State, and our late governor, took it upon himself. And I remember that even in my village, which is the border between Ondo State and Kogi State, there was this Fulani harassment issues with our farmer, and a farmer was killed and all of that. And so we have a vigilante, because we have one of our son, who just retired from the military, a general, and he set up this local vigilante, and and the young people who have no job in the community, and bought them this bike, and they can go around, and they can identify. So state police will help, because it will help people to police their community. That's basically. So when a new person comes to the community, you know that this is a new stranger. Where is he coming from? Where is he staying? Okay, so state police, not that state police will not allow someone to come from Zamfara State to be a police officer or DPO in a place where you don't speak their language, they can't trust you with their information. But if it's one of their own that is there as a policeman, as a police officer, they can trust him with information. Okay, they know, and they know that I'm protecting my community. So, and that's how it has been practiced all over the world. Even where we borrow our democracy from the United States of America, the policing is community policing that they practice. So you cannot have one central police and one IG from Abuja who control everyone. No, it doesn't work. So I think this president will have the political weight. The former president said, no, I'm not going for state policing. Because the politician can use it for election and all of that. But that is because everything that has advantage has disadvantage. So we want to know what does the advantage, is more than the disadvantages. So community policing will actually help in fighting insecurity. That remains my opinion.
Okay, all right. Now let us go back to this issue of these pupils, these students that were kidnapped in Kaduna State. Also, we also have case of kidnapped students in Sokoto State. That same week. That same week. So what advice would you give the federal government in making sure that no ransom is paid, and then the kids get back to their parents safe and sound, and then these bandits too, they get to pay for their crime?
Yes, I think this is not the first time. There was this issue of Baptist school children that were kidnapped, same Kaduna State. You remember?
Yes.
But it was the parents eventually that gathered the money and paid the ransom. Because the Kaduna State government then, under El-Rufai, said, I'm not paying ransom. And after the parent cried, I think they start tasking themselves and start talking directly, negotiating directly with the kidnappers. And they have to even take foodstuff there before the children. Do you remember that? Baptist school, the children the same Kaduna State. So maybe that's going to be the approach later with these two. Maybe the parents will have to gather themselves together and start talking directly with the kidnappers and say, please have mercy on us. These are our children. What do you want us to do? You want us to bring bag of rice, bag of beans? Because the government is adopting a policy to say, no, if we continue to pay ransom to these people, it will encourage them, and we will not be able to handle it. So maybe they will approach, they will say that, and the media will be dancing with that. While underground, they are making efforts to make sure that these children are brought back to their families.
Thank you. And would you also recommend capital punishments for bandits?
Of course, there's a capital punishment for bandits. Even the anti-terrorism law that was enacted during Goodluck Jonathan regime. Yes, it's a capital punishment. Even right now, if they are caught, they are prosecuted, and they will face the law.
Okay, all right, definitely. Thank you so much for being a part. And then we also have to talk about which laws do you think that our lawmakers, because we started our topic with lawmakers, what laws do you feel like they need to enforce to us? Well, they need to bring up so that the executive arm of government might be able to enforce it that will better guard Nigeria. Because the people are saying that in their community there's no security agency, there's no NSCDC, there's no police, there's no soldier. Vulnerable societies like that, what laws could be passed to make sure that we are better guarded?
I don't think it's about the law. I think it's about, do we have the numbers in the armed forces? Okay, so we don't have the number of in the armed forces that we can have to station police in all the community, in all the local community. So unless we have more recruitment and we bring more manpower into the police, and that's what they should do. And okay, because they would also tell you that the economy is not buoyant enough to be able to have the numbers that we need. We are 220 million people. I don't think we have up to a million standing force in the armed forces. No, I think we have just 350,000, policemen in our police service. So how do you police every community? So that's what we have now. And you take time. If you have to recruit, you have to train. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight, because it takes an average of about 6 months to even train a soldier to be able to say, we are deploying this soldier to the field. Same with the police. So these things takes time, and you have arms and ammunition stations, police station, barracks for them to stay. So it's not cheap.
But since we know that from your analysis,
yes,
we are not going to be safe anytime soon.
No. I think we are a country that believe in God. So we just trust God, that God will protect us. Because right now, people have to work for their own safety, know when to go out, know when not to go out, where to go and where not to go, how to manage your, So I think that's is what is going to help, while the government is sorting out, these insecurity issues.
All right, thank you so much for that. And this is where we'll be drawing the curtains close on today's episode of Firecrackers. We thank you for staying with us to the very end, and thank you so much, Dr. Felix Olorinda, for being on the program today with us.
Thank you.
And as a security expert and also a public affairs analyst. My name is Ireba Misalako. See you same time, same station next week. Do have a wonderful week ahead. Goodbye.